Welcome back. So, like I said in the last video, we're going to sand prep this wheel. I'm going to start with 80 grit because we already went over it real quick with 220, get the stickers off, and I don't feel like sanding those little pits out with it. So we're going to drop down to 80 real quick, go over it one fast pass and knock it all down. Always wear your dust mask, especially when you're inside something. You don't want to be breathing that shit in the whole time. We're going to get our variable speed with our interface so you don't have no hard stops. I believe this is a 3 to 4 inch. This is an inox. This is the part number and everything on it. It has an auto brake, so if you're going, turn off the stops itself. I really like this thing. I sand at speed 2.5, so what is that? About 5,000, I guess? Jeez. 5,000 RPMs, right about. And safety gear, check. Your 80 grit. Now let's see what we can do. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our 80 grit, our interface pad, about speed 2.5, so 4,500, 5,000, and we're gonna try to hold it to where our pad is pushed in this ravine here, and try to hold it flat against this whole part, and just go over it slow. We're gonna hold the wheel with our legs so it doesn't spin too fast because the sander will spin it by itself. Try to make some even, nice passes, knock down all this stuff, all these pits, and then we're gonna work our way up onto this bevel here, and then we're gonna work our way up onto this flat part, and then down into the water trap. So see how we do it. Now you can see 80 grit still having the hardest time taking it out. I'll go over this until pretty much all of it's out, and then work my way up, and the rest will come at 220. That pretty much sanded out. I'm gonna put the bottom of the pad into the ravine, and I'm gonna push to the right. So now it's leaning, the pressure's on this, basically this bottom right corner here, because it spins this way. So I wanna pull the material and go down. So I'm doing this and having it pull up on the backside, I wanna work forward, kind of go after it. That's what I'm doing with the sander here. Look like I'm sanding a lot, but you can see just sitting here on my lap. Pulling a lot of material off this wheel already. So you see how I'm working on the edge here instead of being flat. The reason I'm doing that is because this pit's up here is so deep that I need to really just pull some material off so I can go at it. I could show you how to do it with the interface, without the interface pad, but I would leave the interface pad on until you're very familiar with rotary. Because if not, you can make little ripples to where you stop. Now that spot right here, where you go forward and you pull back, that spot right there, you're hitting it longer than the rest of the spots. So there's gonna be a little bump right there. So until you're familiar with the rotary sanding, I would not even attempt to take the interface pad off. But let's pull some material off this thing. I got to a depth I like. Now, different polishers do a different way, different types of steps. Camera's full of dust. But this is the way I like to do. So I get majority of it out with the 80, then I'll switch it to 220. The way that it maths in my head is, let's say with the 80 grit, you have your flat surface. We'll say this is our flat surface right here. And then your 80 grit, when it's digging, it's gonna put deep ravines in it. Obviously it's not gonna be flat because of how coarse the sandpaper is. Now, if you go with the 220 grit, it's gonna go much closer, give it a lot flatter surface. So all these pits to where the sand marks are already going into, the 220 is gonna flatten it out and get most of the rest of the way out. You can do it all with the 80 grit. I just find it just takes a little bit longer to do that way. But as you can see, majority of it, it's all out of the wheel at this point. So I'll work with the 220 now, repeat the process I just did with a different grit. So I don't know if you can tell on the camera, let me peek over and see. Can you see? Yeah, you can definitely see the difference between where the 220 was. You can even hear the difference. This is much smoother. You can see this is much better. It's already taken 90% of it out. Jeez. Let me grab. People can say what they want about Renegade products. They like it or don't like it. They're ceramic sandpaper, especially at the lower grits. They're 220, they're 180. This stuff cuts and it doesn't go as fast as the other stuff. So, oh, what I was thinking, let's go back to the only problem is this. We're going to stick this edge and force it on the inside of this. Do is I like to do it up here too. That way it's pulling from the inside up. Now, you can see when you're sanding if you're missing a grit. So you see right in there, you can see a differentiation of the sandpaper. That's 80 grit that needs to come out. It won't be, so you'll have it all uniform, like all this is all uniform. Then it'll stand out on eye if you actually pay attention and look at it. Like here. See, that's not uniform to this, that's still 80 grit needs to come out. And all you're gonna do is, I'll go over that spot real quick, no big deal. But now you're gonna repeat that step with 400 and 800. And I'll show you that when that's done. I'll work on the back. You know what? Let me hit this lip real quick while we're going over this. Then I'm gonna show you how to do this back dish. Now, to get this back dish, it's a little different of a process. I've seen a lot of guys do this wrong. For the back, take this off. Because these edges, they're sharp edges. And if you're using a rotary, which I highly, highly recommend, the DA, it's gonna, to do what I just did, it's gonna take you 10 times as long. With the interface pad, where it spins this way, and you're gonna be obviously you're gonna start sanding this hole, so it's spinning like this, and it's pulling material out, so it won't rub that edge. When you go over here to sand this edge, it's gonna be sanding like this, it's gonna be catching this hard edge and rolling this edge out. So you'll see a lot of wheels, well, on the left side of the right side of the hole, it'll be rounded and start to egg shape that way. You get that from a lot of wheel machines. That's why I don't prefer wheel machines. I like doing it by hand because you get a lot better result. So we're gonna take the interface pad off. You don't need to usually go way too deep in the grits because all the pits are gonna be down in your barrel because that's where all the salt's gonna sit, the debris when you're driving is gonna fling around and hit in here, ding it up. Back here is usually pretty conditioned. Might even try a 400 on that. Let me grab some 400 and see what we can do with 400. Got a 400. Let's see what we can do. Now when I do this, I'm going to be working on the edge of it. Oh, that's not fitting at all. I'm working on the edge, going up, down, up and down basically. Kind of like that. You see, it's kept that edge nice and sharp. That's sanded. Let's spin our wheel. My rule of thumb is I usually do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with one piece. Maybe I'll switch it and get a new piece. That generally works for me. You can do 3, 3, and 3, whatever. I'll go around it with the next piece. Now that we got all that done, we're gonna work on this area here. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna hold it flat with the top part right against this top bezel. Let the wheel spin itself. If you don't have a wheel stand, it works the same way. If you don't have a wheel stand, you'll do this part where it's sitting on the ground, and you just spin the wheel, do that part, spin the wheel, so on and so forth. Well, all we got left now is a water trap. This one's honestly not bad at all. So I'm gonna hit this with 220, and then I'll show you how to get around the valve stem. Then we'll work 400 all this. We'll do 800 for the whole wheel. So we're gonna go ahead and put our interface pad back on this to help conform to the edges. Fresh sheet of 220 on there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this on an angle. We're gonna push the front of the pad into this. And we're gonna focus on getting this little back piece. Then we'll go back around. I'm gonna come up forward here. I'm gonna push it into this bevel right here to get this whole part. And I'll go over it one more time, hold it nice and flat, kind of focus my pressure onto the middle, and go through. Rinse, wash, repeat till you get happy with the pits. That's 400. Let's get our 800. Now repeat what I already did 3 other times with the 800. Interface off. I like to start to the left of the valve stem. That way I just know where I'm at. Dirty again. There we go. Same thing, I'll do 5 of them. Get a new piece, do 5 of them. And each one I'll try to hit this lip. That way within 2 pieces of paper I get this whole back lip and this, then 1/3 paper for around the holes. Well, that is that. That is how you prep and sand a wheel. Now she is ready to take on a polish. You can see how it already has some reflection to it. That means she's gonna take a polish really, really well. Yes, sir. So now, in the next video, we're gonna show you how to polish it.
Hey, I wanna be a rock star.